I think. Am I correct that everyone can see that? Okay. I don't know why. Yes. Okay. Okay, so this is our course outline about the e-commerce strategies and architecture. This is about the 2 credit subject. So you have to cover 40 percentage from the CA and also that another 60 percentage from your final marks. So when I take 4 CA, it will be cover for 40 marks, and from your final paper we are taking, for example, if you take 100 marks from your final paper, it will be considered as a 60 marks, right, from 40 marks from your CA. And I already informed you so that AI fundamental course marks will be cover for the CA, because when I give the CA in online, so all will use the chat GPT, and you will copy paste, and these things normally you are doing, so that is not a useful. So when you complete that course, then I already said that I will consider that one totally for the 4 CA marks. That's mean totally 40 marks. Another 60 marks will be take from your final exam. So this is about your course, and your subject code is a CIS 22032, right? And there is no practical for this subject, so this is only about the theory. And we can move to the other part. And this is about your content. So altogether these outlines, these chapters we have to cover. So there is the unit 1 and 2 there, and under the unit 1 these are the contents we have to study. So one by one, what is about that uh, setting the context means, what is the workflow of the management, so the supply chain management, customer relationship management, those things we have to discuss under the unit 1. And also likewise some e-commerce framework and technologies, so those things we have to discuss in the unit 2. Just wait. So these are the content. If you want, you can write it down, or I already shared the slides, right? You have the slides, so you can refer those contents. So we have to cover all these in the 15 classes, altogether 15 classes, right? Okay, then we can move to the other part. And this is the first topic that we have to study today, e-commerce strategies and architecture. So before go to that, you're all familiar me, no? In the 2-1 also we took some lectures that network switching and routing, so I don't want to introduce myself. So today is the introduction class about that e-commerce and the e-business related one. So first of all, before move to the content part, so can anyone tell what is e-commerce actually? So in these lectures, we are going to see about what is e-commerce and why business move from that traditional commerce to electronic commerce, and also how e-commerce technologies have evolved and what happens behind the online services, and when we use an online shopping applications. So these are the things we are going to discuss today. So, and can anyone tell? So this term we are all familiar, that network people, even the software people, this is a common term. Management people, art stream people, everyone know this term. So what do you know about, what do you think about e-commerce mean and e-business mean? Is there any idea about so someone said that buying and selling product over the internet, online shopping, online business. Okay. So normally, we normally see only the front end work. No, we search for the product, and we are selecting it, and we are making some payment and receiving the product. So behind the scene, what it's going on, we don't know those things actually. For example, behind the purchase, there will be a customer databases will be there, and product database is there, inventory system and payment system, order management, delivery system and security system, and analytical system also will be there. So these are the things behindly working on it when you are doing some purchases in the online, right? So therefore today's lecture is about understanding the business and technology's foundation of the e-commerce, right? So can anyone tell that who has purchased something in online? So everyone is normally we are doing, nowadays everyone is purchasing in the online by using some online platforms. So what are the platforms you are very familiar nowadays? So everyone, we are making some online payment, right? So what are the platforms that you are using currently? So you're all familiar that AliExpress, Daraz, Chemu, and apart from that, so with these three we already are familiar. Everyone is familiar. So apart from these online platforms, what are the new platforms? Someone will use a new platforms, right? So can anyone tell some any new platforms that you have had some experience on that? Don't search from online or something. If you have the real experience with those platforms, just tell me that platform's name. eBay. Okay, eBay. Right. Okay, so can now tell me what happens after you click the buy now button? So, for example, everyone is using the online platforms, online purchasing app, right? So, what will happen when you click the button as buy now, like buy options? When you click that one, what will happen? Did you think about that one previously? Just we are clicking the button, buy button, and we are just purchasing, right? What it happens after you click the buy button? Anyone can tell? What will happen actually after clicking the buy button? This slide is only 14 slides, so we are going to discuss more things regarding the slides. So better you can mark it down, right? What will happen? Did you think about what will happen after we click the buy button? Give some answers. You can freely talk with me. Yeah, one person send me a message. It is direct to choose payment method and other details. Okay. So they are behind that they are I already informed that there are some databases and analytical system is there, no? So when you click the buy button, all the process will be start to select your things and process until delivery, no? So these are the things normally happening. And when we visit an online shopping website, normally we see user interfaces like login will be there, and then after search, then we can go to the product part and we can choose the cart and payment order, and then finally we can do the confirmation. So this is like a one small, like a very simple interface normally every online shopping platform is showing, right? And also, but this is the front end, that these things only we are viewing. Behind that there are so many processes. I already told that after clicking the buy button, normally it can be the system identify the customers, and also it is check the product, what are the products we have clicked, and those things it will be checked. And also it is check the product availability, and it creates an order, and it is process the payment, and also it is update some inventory, and it sends some confirmations, it communicate with the delivery system. So these are the process altogether will happen when you click the buy button. So these are the process, everything happen under the behind scene. Okay, so this is how what will happen when I ask the question, what will happen when we click the buy button. So these process will be held, okay, under behind the scene. So these are the process normally are happening when you are clicking the buy button, right? So now can you please tell that what is e-commerce? Already I asked the question, so can you please tell me that e-commerce, what is e-commerce actually? So the term now we are going to discuss today e-commerce strategies and architecture, right? So what is e-commerce? There are two terms, there are three terms is displaying in this slide. One is e-commerce, another one is strategies, another one is architecture. So can is there anyone have any idea about e-commerce? What is actually e-commerce? What is strategies mean? What is architecture mean? I'm expecting some answers from your side. What do you think about these three terms? You're all familiar, I hope. So anyone can tell that? What is e-commerce? Normally, e-commerce means conducting commercial activities electronically, right? Instead of requiring the customers and sellers to meet physically, we are doing all the things by electronic system, right? This electronic system can support the transaction. Did you understand what is the term means? And another term is the strategy. Strategies mean it is the plan an organization follow to achieve its business objective. For example, a company may decide to sell the products online, to provide the mobile ordering, and to offer online payments, and to provide some home delivery. So these are the things we can call the that's the part of its e-commerce strategy. So these are the things are planning and organizations organizing process. These things we can call that strategies. And also the term about the architecture, normally it is described how the different components of the systems are organized and connected. For example, how that customers and website applications, database and payment or the inventory systems are connected each. So these are the things we are describing by using the architecture, that is a structure, the structure of the workflow, or we can say that structure of the that online platform. So these are the things we can tell that about architecture. So these are the three terms very important. So I may ask what is e-commerce and differentiate the term strategies and architecture. So you all have to get some idea about these three terms, right? So now did you get the point what is e-commerce and strategies and architecture is actually? Did you understand? Okay, my sharing, I have some sharing issues. Okay, then we can clear up with that in the next session. Okay, now, okay, next we can move to the other part. That is about the setting the context, the digital shift. So, this is one of the part. So, here we are going to compare some traditional commerce, okay, brick and mortar with the digital economy or like electronic markets. And also it is also identify some high speed networks and cloud infrastructure and mobile devices and secure payment system as important growth drivers, right? So here one term I mentioned that traditional commerce, under that I mentioned that brick and mortar. What is that? Did you hear? Did you hear this term earlier? What is this traditional commerce? That means especially mention that brick and mortar. Normally brick and mortar means the business operating through the physical location. For example, we are using some physical location like a supermarket and clothing shops and bookstores and physical bank branches. So when we are using some physical store for our business operating process, these are the thing we can call brick and mortar, right? So here physical location means the customer normally has to physically visit the business, that is a places, some places, right? And also another term like manual paper process. The term, every term you have to be understand. Physical location means that physically visit the business. We are normally as a customer, we are we have to physically visit some places. So those things we can tell that physical location. And manual paper process mean what? Manual paper process means traditional businesses historically relied heavily on the manual processes and physical documents like a paper invoices, paper receipt, like a receipt, okay, and manual records by written by hand. So these are the things we can tell about manual paper process. Still, some organizations, some online platforms, and some small uh, grocery shops. These shops normally handling the manual process nowadays also. Written all the information by hand on the some piece of notebook or something. So these things we can tell about the manual paper process, right? And another thing is fixed business hours. That's mean physically businesses normally has opening and closing time. So can you normally I'm asking you, can you normally visit the physical shop at 2 a.m., like a physical shop at 2 a.m.? Can you visit? No, it's not possible. No, all were closed around 12 o'clock. But online service can potentially accept order at that time also. That is a big benefit that we can get from the online platform. And some geographical limitation also there. That means physical stores normally mainly serve the customer who can reach that location. When it is near, then only we can buy. But in the online services, if it is far also, we can get that devices, or we can purchase that things from the far away also by using the online platform, right? And also high operational overheads is there. What is the meaning of that? High operational overheads, that's mean a physical business may have expenses like rent and some labor cost, physical labor cost will be there, and electricity and maintenance, security. So these costs will be there. So these are the normally these are the issues we are having from the traditional commerce, like a brick and mortar, physically operating some economics things. These things we can call as a brick and mortar. And when you take a digital economy like electronic markets, uh, the digital economy normally changes how businesses operated by using a digital technologies and electronic markets, right? It is available for 24 hours, it is available. That is a big benefit. And also the digital platform can potentially remain available throughout the day. And globally also it is available. We can do the purchase from anywhere, right? And also another term I mentioned here, automations, right? What's the meaning of that? Many business process can be automated. That's mean it is all the things are technical wise. Without the human involvement, we can do some excel. For example, customer place orders, system receive the orders, and inventory updates we can do automatically, and payment process, confirmation generations, and delivery process initiated. So these are the thing will be automated, right? And another one is growth drivers. So what is growth drivers actually? So here that four growth drivers I mentioned in this slide. One is a high speed network, Another one is a cloud infrastructure, mobile device, and secure payment rails. So what is this actually? High speed network means fast networks. Normally you all know that. So fast networks allow the customers and system to communicate quickly, right? And also when you take a cloud infrastructure, it is provided scalable computing resources. And mobile devices like smartphones normally allow the customer to access e-commerce services from different locations. And when you take secure payment rails, that is electronic commerce needs secure mechanism for transferring the money electronically. So these are the main four growth drivers are coming under the e-commerce, right? So I have one question, so you all can answer for it. Which of these four technologies would be most difficult to operate without? Did you get my question? So I mentioned that four growth drivers here. So which of these four technologies would be most difficult to operate without? Just discuss, just get some idea for this question. Okay. So think about that. Think about this question, right? And we can move to the other part. Right. Right. This is about the core terminology and definitions. So this is one of the most important things because everyone have to clearly identify these three terms. What is the EC, electronic commerce means, and e-business and web commerce, right? So just wait. So the word is electronic commerce mean. So normally we can say that electronic commerce is a commercial activity, performed electronically. For example, a customer purchase a mobile phone through an online platform, right? So when you take this example, what will be the process normally when you are buying the mobile phone? Right, customer normally purchasing the mobile phone through a online platform, any kind of online platform. In this example, what will happen, what's the process will happen behind the scenario? Normally we have to do some product selection, right? And then what will we do? After the selection of product, we will order, right? Then we will do some payment and we will do the confirmation. Then after, finally it will come delivery. So this is the process happening when you are ordering the phone or buying something in the online. So this is the process we can call electronic commerce. We are using some digital platforms uh, to do some process. So this is the thing we can call electronic commerce. So another term is e-business. Don't confuse with these two terms because some people will give the same definition for the e-business and e-commerce and electronic commerce. For these three terms are like same, but don't confuse with these three terms. Just get some idea what is actually electronic commerce is and e-business is, right? What is e-business actually? So here also I mentioned some definition. uh, right, you can get some idea. E-business is a broader and includes e-commerce plus activities such as customer services will be there, and some collaborations with the business partners, and e-learning and internal electronic transactions will be there. So normally e-commerce is not the same as a e-business, right? E-business is the broader concept. For example, a company sells a laptop online. The online sale we can call e-commerce, right? But the company also use electronic system for like employee training, supplier communication, customer services, internal transaction, and some for the business collaboration. So these broad activities are part of the e-business, right? Did you get my point? What is the electronic commerce and e-business is actually? Did you understand? Today I couldn't see the messages also. have some issues in the Zoom, so we can clear up. If you have any doubt, you can drop me a message through the WhatsApp, right? If you don't understand any other thing, right? So now I differentiate the term what is EC means and e-business mean. For we can go through with one example, right? For you can think, imagine a one company, like we can call that ABC electronic company or some companies. Okay, the customer buys a laptop through the company's website. This is what we can call e-commerce, right? The company's employees use an internal system for training. They are using some system for the internal system for the training. These things we can call e-business, right? Normally the company communicate electronically with its suppliers. That is we can call e-business, right? And also e-business, the company provide the online services for the customer support or customers. That is also we can call e-business. So you have to understand the term what is e-commerce, e-business is separately by this example, right? So and also another term I mentioned here, that web commerce. So web commerce normally a subset of e-commerce conducted through the worldwide web using the web browsers and mobile applications, including some HTTPS technologies, right? So, for example, we can say that web commerce is more specifically associated with the commerce conducted through the web-based technologies. We can compare the term. E-business is a broadest concept, and when you take a e-commerce, it is a electronic commercial activities. We can say that e-commerce is a electronic commercial activities, and when you take a e-business, we can tell that that is a broadest concept. And when you take a web commerce, we can tell simply that is a web-based subset of the e-commerce. That is a web-related one, and also subset of the e-commerce, right? So these are the differentiate between these terms. Because please be careful with these three terms. Don't confuse with these three terms, and don't give the same definition for these three terms, right? And we can move to the other part. Right. Now we are going to see about the technological evolutions of e-commerce. Right. Wait. So how technology is evaluated, the e-commerce related technology, how it is evaluated, like this, that these things we are going to discuss here. Normally here we mention some term like web 1.0 era and web 2.0 and web 3.0. That's so this is one, every separated one, it has some history also. So when you take web 1.0, it is started from 90s and also early stages of the 20s. So here we can static HTML pages and digital browseware and manual order processing, static product catalogs was introduced in these technologies. Normally, so when you take a web 1.0 websites were mainly informations oriented. It will be like a information oriented website, right? Normally a company could create a website containing some company informations, and also like product informations and contact details and product catalogs will be there, right? And also, but the one limitation will be there, and the interaction was limited. When you use these technologies, the interactions was limited. And for example, for the further understand, I can tell that imagine a company taking its printed product catalog and putting the information on the website. Okay, the customer could look at the product, but many processes were still manual. not a technological wise. Any process under these era, under these technology will be a manual, but the customer could look at the products only. So this is the thing will happen in this web 1.0 era technology, right? And also when you take a web 2.0, it is mid of the 20s and 2010s, and normally it's consisting it is introducing some database driven applications, dynamic shopping carts, user generated content, and social commerce and restful apis was introduced. Here database driven applications mean normally instead of showing the same static page to everyone, the website can retrieve the information from the database. That is the thing we can call database driven web apps, like a driven application, right? And also another thing, one term is there, one shopping carts. So normally in the shopping carts, with the help of shopping carts, the customer can add the product and remove the product and change the quantities and calculate the totals, right? And another terms here I mentioned in the web 2.0 technology, user generated content. What is that? Normally in this, customer themselves can produce content. For example, reviews, they can produce, they can give some reviews, some comments, and also rating also they can provide, right? And social commerce mean social platforms can influence or the support the commercial activities, right? And restful apis, you all know that normally that apis allow the different software system to communicate. For example, e-commerce system with the payment system, and payment system with the delivery system. So among that, among a different system, it will make some communication, right? And so these are the things we can tell that. And when you go with the web 3.0 era, like that's a modern era, modern technology, it is introducing API first architecture and headless commerce and microservices, cloud native scale, and some digital wallets will be there, and some AI recommendations engine also will be there. So API first mean normally the systems are increasingly designed around APIs, so different application and services can communicate, right? And also another term is their headless commerce architectures. That's mean normally headless commerce separates the customers facing interface from the commerce backend. The same backend can potentially support normally for the website and mobile applications and other digital interfaces also, and some microservices also there. Normally large applications can be divided into smaller services, that is we can call that microservices, to facilitate the services, to make easiness and other things. For example, for the microservices we can tell that order service, payment service, and customer service, and inventory service. There are so many microservices will be there, and the big process will be divided into small services, that is we can call that microservices. That's mean macro services divided into micro, to make the easiness, right? And also some AI recommended engines, you all know that system can analyze the customer behavior and recommend products, right? And also digital wallet is there. Normally digital wallet supports the electronic payments, and we can make some transaction more comfortable and convenient with the help of digital wallet, right? So these are the things we can tell that some evaluation of the e-commerce under the new technologies, right? And we can move to the other part. And so these are the thing I already the previously we explained that web 1.0 era and how it is evolved, and the duration of is their 90s to 20s, and like a web 2.0 era and like that. Normally when you take when web 1.0, mostly that is a static information will be there in that technology. And when you take a web 2.0, that normally it consists interactive and dynamic information will be there, right? And so I have one questions with I have from my side. So what makes modern e-commerce different from web 2.0 technology? Can anyone tell? The modern e-commerce. from the 2.0 that's mean I'm asking that what are the modern e-commerce we are using in web 3.0 technology when we compare with the web 2.0. So we can tell some answers nowadays. What are the technologies we are using in the e-commerce related one? We are using some APIs, we are using some cloud infrastructure, very good. And the modern architectures we are using, some AI, that especially that AI we are using. So these are the things we can tell, right? Right. And up to now, did you all get the point? Did you all understood? Please let me know. Is that all clear or am I fast or something? We will do some later in the next class. Not a next class, I think after 2 or 3 class we will develop some systems like we will do some games also, right, by using some new e-commerce platforms. Yeah, I will inform you about the new platforms, and by the help of that new platforms we will do some gaming also. Always studying is a boring thing, right? And we can use some online platforms and we will start some gaming also, right? That is an interesting part. And okay, up to now you all clear, then we can move to the other part. I will correct the issues with the next class. I have some issues in my Zoom, I think. Right. Right. This is about the components and structure of the e-market. Okay. First of all, tell me that before go to the content, what do you think about e-market? What is that actually? So another term we can tell that electronic market, right? So what is that actually? Tell me. So normally the electronic market or the e-marketplace as an online venue, online places, right, where the buyers uh, and sellers exchange their goods and services or the money or the another kind of information, right? So this is we can call e-market or the electronic market, right? So normally that when you take a e-marketplace, it's brings some buyers and sellers together electronically. For example, when you take a normal market in our area, market is there. So when you take that market, all the buyers, all the sellers, all the services, everything together, right? Everything communicated together. So likewise, all the buyers and sellers are communicated together with some services electronically. That is, we can call that e-marketplace, right? So there are some components are there in the e-market. Buyers and sellers will be there, product and services will be there, and infrastructure is there. They are all together main three core component is there when you take a e-marketplace. One core component is the buyers and sellers. So without the buyers and sellers there is no marketplace, right? So you all know that. Another core component is the product and service. So there are what the buyers and sellers exchange. Normally that physical product they can be sell or exchange, or the digital goods also they can be sell. So this is the thing, product and services, another core component of the e-market. Another thing is infrastructure, that is another core component. So the infrastructure is the technology supporting to the marketplace. Normally it is identified that front end UI and backend database, and also some payment gateways and logistic APIs also will be identified. And also here these are the main three core component of e-market, right? So another thing I mentioned that market structure. So in that I mentioned that storefront, versus the marketplace, right? So storefront, what is that? Storefront, these are the new term normally in the e-commerce. Normally we are all are engaged with these things. So when the new terms are coming, you all have to familiar with the term, right? So storefront, did you heard about this term earlier? So I mentioned in within the bracket that is a single company e-stores. That's mean a single company operates its own online store. That's the thing is we can call storefront, right? Another thing is a marketplace, right? Marketplace mean multiple vendors can offer the product through the same platform, right? Like a different we have to differentiate those things. What is the marketplace is actually, and also storefront is a single company that is operated its own online store. And also when you take a marketplaces, that's mean multiple vendors will be there, they can offer the product through the same platform. So we can, another term we can call okay. Now I think everyone can see the slides, I think. Right, okay. Always the power cut issues here. Right, so these things we already discussed, right? And portals, storefront, these term you already familiar now. So you're all able to differentiate the term, like what is market, storefront is there, what is the meaning of portal, what is e-commerce, what is e-market, and these things you all have to be clearly, you have to be identify those things, right? And we can move to the other part. Right, that is about so that's previous one, economic and industry e-market. So here we are going to see about these things, these four terms we are going to discuss. What is disintermediations and re-intermediation, global scale and high availability requirement, right? So here disintermediation means, so all the terms are very new for you all, so I know that. So disintermediation mean normally eliminating the traditional middleman. So that is the thing we can tell, disintermediation. What is the things actually? So when you are doing some purchasing, or when you are observing some process, there will be a manufacturer is there, distributor is there, retailer is there, customer is there, right? So here, when you are eliminating some traditional middleman like distributor, retailer, we can eliminate those things, those parties. So we can directly make the purchase from the manufacturer. Directly we can do that. Mean we can we can maintain the relationship with the customers and manufacturers. We no need the middle party like a distributor or retailers. So these are the thing we are eliminating some traditional middleman. These things we can call disintermediation, right? So for example, I already told that. So when you are taking some process of purchasing process, there will be a manufacturer is there, the finally customer is there, middle of the manufacturer and customer, there will be a distributor is there, retailer is there, some other person also will be there. So we can eliminate those parties, and we can, as a customer, we can do some direct communication with the manufacturer customer. So direct communication, we are eliminating some middle parties. So these things we can uh, call disintermediation, right? Did you understand? Did you got the point? Right? For example, I'm going to buy a one book, okay, from one person. So me and that person only have to make a relationship to buy that book. Middle of that, no need to keep any person, any other friends or someone. So these are the things we are eliminating. I'm only going to make a direct communication with that person who is going to sell the book. I'm going to purchase. Middle of that, no need any person to communicate among we two. So we are eliminating that person. So these things we can call this term. And also another term is re-intermediation. That means a creation of new intermediators. That means payment aggregators we can implement. Also we can make some delivery networks, and we can do some price comparison portals. So these are the things we can adding some new parties. We are creating some new things as the intermediators between those two parties and customers and seller. So these things we can call. In the first process, we eliminated the middle party. In a re-intermediation mean we are adding some new parties, intermediators among these two parties. So these things we can call re-intermediation, right? And another things is there a global scale. So global scale means the internet allow the business to reach customers beyond their physical location. We can create some opportunities for the smaller business as well by using some these global markets. So these are the thing we can extend up our business through the world. So this is the thing we can call that global scale. And high availability and requirement, you all know that. So infrastructure normally demanding 99 percentage uptime to protect business continuity. So for example, we can tell an e-commerce platform needs to be highly available because the customers expect it to work when they need it. So this thing we can call the high availability and requirements. So these are the four impact of economic and industry. So, and I have one question related to this one. What happened if an online shopping system goes down during the major sale? So, can anyone tell? Did you get my question? What happened normally if an online shopping system goes down? That's mean breakdown, or the system is goes down during a major sale. What will happen? What do you think about? Suddenly, that online shopping system goes down when during the major sale is happening. So what will happen? I got some answers. What will happen? Did you get my question? Please tell me that did you get my question or not? I'm expecting everyone should participate it in the Zoom. So that's why I'm just giving extra time to join because only the 85 people are there, but altogether more than 100 people. What about others? Online session that your attendance is compulsory for me. Did you get my question first? So anyone can tell the answer. What happens if an online shopping system goes down during the major sale? What will happen? Customer cannot order, right? And revenue may be lost, and also customer become dissatisfied. Business reputations may be affected. So these are the thing will be happen, right? So these are the main things you have to be considered, and we can move to the other part. So this is about drivers and barriers of EC adoptions, right? So here we are going to see about some topics like technological drivers, organizational drivers, adoption impediments. Those things we are going to discuss. So in the technological drivers, I mentioned that smartphone ubiquity is there, cloud computing, and some payments gateways and digital wallets also I mentioned that. What is it actually? We'll see that. So smartphone ubiquity and mobile connectivity means people increasingly use the smartphone to access the online services. That's the thing we can tell that smartphone ubiquity and mobile connectivity and the cloud computing. So you all know that AWS and Azure, GCP, and normally the cloud platforms are providing the scalable computing infrastructure. I think you already know about this. AWS and Azure is a new thing and a famous one. So in the cloud platform, so you all know that. And also when you take a payment gateways and digital wallets, normally it is supporting online electronic payments. We can do with the help of some digital wallets. And when you take a organizational drivers, here I mentioned that some cost reduction. So cost reductions mean what? So normally automation can reduce some operational cost when you are doing some automatic work without the involvement of the human. So it will be reduce some operational cost. And another thing is the workflow automation is there. Normally in the workflow automation software can automate it, a repetitive business process. And also when you take a customer data analytical, in these organization can analyze the customer informations and their behavior to support business decisions, right? So these are the organizational drivers. When you take adoption barriers, impediments, normally it's mentioning, I mentioned three of these things like barriers. One is the security and privacy vulnerabilities. So when you take a security and privacy vulnerabilities, it is a digital system normally creates the security and privacy concerns, some errors that mean that lead to the cyber attacks. And also when you take legacy integrations, that is all the software system may be difficult to integrate with the modern e-commerce platform. And regularity and legal barriers, it should be a business normally need to operate according to the relevant regulations, right? And trust is there. Trust, already you all know about that. Customer needs some confidence in the business, in technology what we are handling in the system. And also these are the thing we can tell that these are the main drivers we are using in the our uh, e-commerce e-related platform, right? And also here next, can you move to the other part? So we are going to see about some real world case study like Walmart. So this scenario we are going to discuss. So here, right. So I took here that Walmart's like Walmart's normally responds to the competitions from pure online retailers to the omni-channel e-business architecture. There is normally the traditional physical retailers normally faced increasing competition from the online platform. Normally the customers' expectation will be changed. Normally customers wanted online ordering and the conveniences and digital access they need, and some flexible delivery or collection also they are expecting. So these are the things we have to see here. And in the strategy, normally that when you take a omni channel, did you heard this term that omni channel? Anyone? What is that? One term I mentioned is omni channel. What's that? What is this? So you can understand from these pictures. So one picture I mentioned here. So here you see that omni-channel means normally connecting the multiple customer channels into a more integrated experience, right? So we are connecting the multiple customer channel here. For example, physical stores and websites, right? And also some mobile applications. So these are the things we are connected each together, and we are combining all. So these are the thing, this process we can call that omni-channel transformation, right? So the customer can move the between these channels because we combine all together into one. So these in this the customer can move to the between these channels, right? See here one term I mentioned, that technical integration. Here from this diagram you can see that what is technical integration. Did you find the term? Here you can see technical integration. Here this term technical integration mean what? Technical integration means connecting the physical store database with the web and mobile application. For example, if a customer check the product in online, the information needs to be connected to inventory data, right? So this is the thing we can tell that there is a technical integration. For this, they will use some databases, some devices like laptop or something. These all the devices will be integrated with this system, like technical integration system, right? And another term I mentioned that here you can see from this picture, BOPIS here. What is it? BOPIS mean buy online, pick up in store. That's the meaning of that BOPIS, right? So here in the BOPIS process, normally the customer reaches online. Just wait. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, BOPIS mean buy online, pick up in store. Normally, the process will be under the BOPIS means. In the step one, normally what will they do in the process? Pick up in store in the BOPIS. Customer normally reaches the online and they will select the product, and they will choose store pickup, right? And store pickup will be chosen by the customer. And finally that in the step 4, the system will check the inventory and store prepares the product, and finally the customer collect it. So these are the process will be happen in the BOPIS process, right? For, I have some question. One question I can ask from these: what happen if the inventory database is not updated? What will happen? Normally, when we are ordering one purchase, one product we are ordering and we are doing some purchase, right? What will happen if the inventory database is not updated? What's the problem will be arise? Can anyone tell? Please answer it. Did you get my question? What happened if the inventory database is not updated? One person sent website shows incorrect stock displays to the customers. Okay, that's okay. Right, think about it, right? What will happen if the inventory database is not updated, right? Another term I mentioned in this picture, that is about automated fulfillment. What is that here? Another term, automated fulfillment centers. Normally, it is supported by predictive algorithm. For example, we can say that modern e-commerce normally use technologies to help them manage large volumes of orders and fulfillment operations, right? So this is the thing we can tell that automated fulfillment centers normally are doing this kind of work, right? And okay, this is the thing from this diagram, from this omni-channel transformation. So this there any new term is there? Nothing, right? So you all know about is what is omni-channel transformation is, and what is technical integration means, and what is BOPIS process mean, what are the process will happen in that. And also you all got some idea about automated fulfillment centers, what it's actually doing, right? And we can move to the other part. Did you get some idea until now? Is there any doubts up to now? Right. Now we are going to see about the stakeholders benefits versus technical limitations. Right. So here we divided the stakeholders into three categories. One is the organization, another one is the consumers, another one is the society. So these three we are going to see as a stakeholder, right? And also we are going to see about the benefit also, right? And some organization, when you take a organization, we can take as a benefit is like a global market presence. What is that global market presence mean? Business can reach customers beyond their physical location, so that is a we can call that global market presence. That is a, one of the benefit we are getting from this. And another term I mentioned as a benefit, that is a lower inventory holding cost. That's mean normally technology can support more efficient inventory management, right? And also some limitation also I mentioned, cybersecurity exposure. So you all know about that one. Normally more digital operations can increase exposure to the cyber threats, right? And also the continuous integrations overhead means system normally needs continuous maintenance and integrations. It will be require continuous maintenance. So these things we can tell that continuous integration overhead, this can be a limitation, right? And when you take another stakeholders, consumers, so there is a benefits ubiquitous access, price transparency, convenience. Ubiquitous access means customer can access services from many locations. And also the price transparency means customer can compare the prices with other product. And convenience means customer can purchase without necessarily visiting a physical store. That is a convenience. So these are the benefits. And when you take a limitation, digital security risk, a lack of physical product inspection is there. When you take a digital security risk, there is some examples for that. Normally account attacks will be there, payment risk will be there, some privacy concerns will be there. And lack of physical product inspection, normally customers may not be able to physically examine the product before purchasing. That is the biggest limitation everyone is facing in the online platform, right? We cannot examine before purchasing, right? We are just seeing the photos and we are just ordering. But when it's coming on site like a physical one, the appearance sometime will be changed and the qualities will be changed. So that is a biggest limitation on that. Another stakeholder is the society. So when you take a society, there are also benefit and limitation is there. So when you take a benefit, is a broader access to the services. That's mean normally the digital platform can make services available to more people. And when you another benefit is a reduced transit footprint. What's the meaning of that? Reduced transit footprint means some activities may be completed digitally rather than requiring the physical travel. So we can do online everything, we can make it online. And some limitations also will be there in the society, like a digital divide usage. So that's mean not everyone has equal access to the devices, some internet connectivity or digital skills, lack of digital skills. Thus everyone, most of them have the lack of digital skills. And workforce structural changes mean normally that digital transformation can change the types of jobs and skills required. So that is the thing we can tell as a workforce structural changes, right? So I have one questions on this. Does e-commerce benefit everyone equally? Can anyone tell? Does e-commerce benefit everyone equally? Anyone? Right? So think about that and get some idea. Does e-commerce benefit everyone equally or not? Right? Right. This is the one vocabulary summary means. So these are the term we studied from this chapter, this lectures: electronic commerce, e-business, web commerce, and e-marketplace. What is disintermediation? What do you mean by re-intermediation? Headless commerce, omni-channel. So these are the new term right now. Please tell me that what is electronic commerce, what we discuss about electronic commerce. What is it? Electronic commerce mean? Simply tell that. E-commerce mean what? E-commerce is a electronic commercial activity, right? E-business is a broader digital business activity. And web commerce is web-based subset of e-commerce. And e-marketplace is online environment connecting buyers and sellers together, right? Another term we studied, disintermediation. What is that? Removing the traditional intermediates like retailers, like other that person. And also what is re-intermediation, that is mean creating the new digital intermediaries. And headless commerce mean separating front end from the commerce back end. And omni-channel means connecting the multiple customer channel. So these are the terms we studied today, and we got some idea about these term. So did you all got some idea about this term? Did you all understood today's lectures? Please let me know that the any part is not clear or want I explain again. Is that all clear? Right, clear. Only one response. What about others? Okay, okay. Am I fast or is that okay? Is that clear? Please tell me that I'm just waiting for your responses. Okay, so this is the last part of these lectures. That is a small activity, that is a self-study one, right? Okay, that is a self-study one. You can do it later at your homes, not a problem. But before go to this activity, I want to tell that about that AI, that fundamental program. And I'm going to take, I already informed that in the group. Another thing, most of them did not complete it. That is a small task, right? There is, I think, altogether 1.5 modules is there. That is all 5 modules. Hereafter there is no any other parts is there, so you have to complete that, and within the time period. That is very important. Within the time limitation is very important. So those who are still not started the process, please complete within today. That is very important for you, and very simple task. And when I give some activities like online assignment or something to submit for the CA, that is useless, because all are using the chat GPT and copying taking from others, and that is a useless things. So that's why I just planned this one. And also you all better join today 6 p.m. also for the online session, to get some idea about the prompt engineering, about the new things about the AI. Just online lectures like 2 days only, you can participate in that also. And that certificate is more useful. So please, everyone, I wish everyone have to do that, everyone have to achieve that one. So those who are still not completed, please do it. That is, I think, only 15 minutes will take, I think. So please do the registration first, then go to that link which was I given in the group. Just do it. When the messages are coming in the comment group, please respond to that one. When I ask to click the poll, because you have to click that, just respond it. Just only that, it will take only 15 minutes, right? So please focus on that, because that is a time limited one. Those who are completing within 3 days only, you all can achieve that certificate. After that you cannot. So that is a very important thing. And also CA marks also, no need to do in 3 languages, only one is enough. I thought before that is we have to do in 3 languages, after that only it is coming 100 percentage. But I got the information from that learn team that they told only one language is enough. So just complete it. Choose one language, as even Tamil or Sinhala or English, and just complete it. right? And you can just click mark as complete, and you can complete your procedures within 15 minutes. Why you are so late, I don't know that. This is a very simple task and good opportunity to replace your CA marks, but most of them are still not doing. I don't know the reason. If you have any issues, you can contact me, you can drop me a message anytime. I'm to everyone, I'm just responding, so within the time period. So please do it within 2 days. After that, you cannot claim the certificate. That is the issue. Within the time period, that is a limited one, right? That is a, please focus on that. Apart from these one student activities I given, that is about identifying the local web service and map out three background e-business process supporting its front end client interface, right? So here what you have to do, you have to choose in one food delivery and online banking, ticket booking, another local based services or whatever the thing, identify that one. For example, suppose that you select online food delivery services, you have to identify that front end that customer sees, what customer could see, that is a front end. And also the logging page and search restaurants, you have to select the food, add cart and payment, ordering, order tracking. So these are the thing we have to do. So this is better when you are physically present to the university, then we can start the process. Now just get some idea, and we have to develop the system, like a food ordering system, like online food delivery system, or I told earlier like online shopping platforms, or ticket booking systems. So these are the, these kind of system we have to develop. So when you are coming here, then when you are physically present here, I will arrange some groups and we can work together. I'll divide some group. So before that, just get some idea how can we create some online platform, and some food delivery systems, and some ticket booking system, like that. Some get some idea from other resources. So then after we will execute this one by as a group project, right? So that's all today. And if you have any doubt, you can ask me. And is there any part is not clear, please ask me. I can explain you again. Some issues in my laptop, I don't know. I will correct that one. And also, you can ask any doubts about the AI also. AI fundamental course also with me. Please don't, those who are not still did not complete it, please do it today. That's, I think, only 10 minutes or 15 minutes is enough. I thought the module 2 3 also will come like that, but they told that is all about the modules like 1.5 until 1.5. So this is not a big deal, right? So you all can do. And also whatever that Betref, there is altogether I think 100 and more than 100 people, but only 86 people is presented. I don't know this time that attendance is must compulsory. They are seeing 80% is attendance. So only 84 percentage, 84 peoples are there. Please remind them to join in the next class. Okay. Anything if you want clear up, please ask me. For the CA marks, I'm just telling again because we are already familiar with the 2-1, but I will replace that for CA marks with that particular AI fundamental course. And other thing, there is, I never give tutorial, right? The first in the 2-1, I given tutorial. Based on the tutorial, I took the final paper and other things. So you all know about that. In that also, most of them did not get a good results, but that is your problem. But in this time, I never give the tutorial. You have to go through that each slide better every day, just study. That's why I'm just uploading the course material like slides earlier, because you have to get some idea. Then you can go through that, right? There is no more tutorial. Better please consider the class and take some short note, and better to study. right? If you want to ask any question, please ask me. And today 6 p.m. also, please join and get some idea. Those who are not completed, please start and do the work. Those who are registered newly, just wait for 1 day for the course uploaded, right? Those who are registered earlier, they got 10, most of them completed. But most of the people from your batch still don't. So please focus on it and complete that work. And okay, anyone, anything, any doubts? Please let me know. Are you all clear with today's session? Is there any part is not clear? Please let me know. Then I can repeat it again. Is that all okay, or shall we wind up the class? Okay, then we can wind up. Okay, thank you so much, and we can meet up today 6 p.m. and get some. That is not a compulsory. If you completed all the sessions earlier, no need to attend. If you want to know any other things about AI newly, just come and join. That I'm not forcing you, but completion is must for the CA marks. But participation on this Zoom is not compulsory, right? Just come and join and get some new idea about the prompt engineering and other thing, right? Okay, then we can meet up at 6 o'clock. Okay, thank you so much.